You want to make sure you can hear the mic.
Okay.
When it's
Okay. So like that might be better.
Yeah, that would be fine. That would be great.
All right. Thank you.
Hello? Does this work? Is it good? This one? Is this one working? Okay.
So you're pretty tall, and you're going after Hadaway, so you're probably going to want to pull this up. So use two hands, just one at the bottom, one right here. Just get it like right under your chin and stop it. Okay. I mean, it's pretty basic. So.
Test.
Yep.
Bowman. That's pretty cool. Good morning, Upper School. Welcome to the senior speeches of the class of 2022. We ask that you please silence your cell phones before the event to honor today's speakers. Our first speaker today is Caroline Brent. Caroline will be introduced by her dad, Doug Brent.
Good morning. Former Oklahoma Casey Watts Jr. said this: character is doing the right thing when no one is looking. Now I want to tell you something Caroline did on spring break when her dad was looking. What happened in Florida? Caroline had taken tennis lessons at a community center there, invited to play in a local high school tournament. All strangers to her. Now, Caroline doesn't like us to watch her play. I don't play tennis, so it's not like I could critique her, but I left. But toward pickup time, I came back and I hid in a place where she couldn't possibly see me. I saw her playing and dropping points against a boy who was a bit younger than her, and she lost. As we left, I said, "Why?" And she looked at me and explained that earlier she had played doubles against the boy and his sister, who criticized his every mistake. I just wanted him to have a better day, she said. Caroline?
Many people during the pandemic found themselves lost without something to do, which meant many people picked up a new hobby like knitting or cooking. However, I wanted to do something more adventurous, like and outdoors. Riding horses seemed like a brilliant new hobby I could start. 2 years ago, I didn't ride horses, but my interest in starting something new got me into riding. However, I didn't like the idea of participating in English-style riding because I had done that before and I didn't like it. The one rodeo I had been to, I watched women compete in a rugged and physically demanding sport, and it intrigued me. I searched for barrel racing near me and found the Red Horse Training Barn. So I made that life-changing call and made my first appointment with Caitlin. The day of my first lesson, I met Caitlin, the instructor, and she taught me how to tack up a horse. Soon I was up and being tested on my riding ability. Since I had only a little riding experience back when I was 8 years old, I couldn't impress her. After a few lessons, Caitlin wanted me to lope, which is a little less than a gallop. While I was scared, I still had to do it, so Caitlin provided me with a night latch strap, which goes across the top of the saddle to help the rider feel stable, or for me, to hold on to while loping. For a month, I refused to give up the strap because I had become dependent on it. To this day, I still sometimes wish I had that aid. Eventually, Caitlin removed the strap, whether I liked it or not. Even though I was afraid, Caitlin's faith in me gave me the courage I needed. After many months of training, I was able to bypass my own limitations and achieve what I thought was unattainable. A year later, I had to face my fear again at my first rodeo. Though I was shaking before my name was called, once I went into the arena, I could no longer hear any sounds. I could no longer hear the announcer, the audience, or even my coach. As I raced up my horse up the pole pattern, all I could hear was the thumping of the hoofbeats below me. I started to prepare for the turn of the end pole. To my shock, I immediately flew off my horse and onto the ground, landing on my back and head. After I realized I had fallen, I got up and started my walk of shame back to the chute where my coach was holding my horse. At that moment, I was no longer scared and nothing hurt. I got back on my horse and walked her out since she was still pumped to the run. Then the fear started to set in because I had to go run my horse in the barrel pattern soon. And I was so frightened I might fall off again. However, I knew I had to go into the arena and run my pattern. This would help me hold on to the confidence I had worked so hard to build. Running a horse into an arena at full speed, or what felt like full speed, was intense. Though the adrenaline rush for both the horse and the rider was high, I ran my pattern smoothly. I've learned that even if the buildup before each run has me shaking with fear, once I've completed a run, none of the angst I felt beforehand remains. Instead, I experience a greater sense of accomplishment because I kept making progress, and that's a win for me. Riding has also given me courage in my everyday life. Since I have more confidence, I am able to ask more questions in class, which has helped my grades improve drastically. Now, when I have a presentation, I am still nervous. However, I am a lot better at actually presenting a subject to the class. My school life has improved so much because my trust in myself has created strong aspirations for learning. This newfound courage has also helped me develop new friendships and reach out to different groups of people within my community. So many aspects of my life have changed because of horseback riding. Horseback riding has done so much for me. I have gained confidence, friends, and been introduced to a new community. I went out of my comfort zone and gained so much. The biggest takeaway from my newfound passion is that if something scares you, just do it. By doing it and persevering through it, you'll be so glad that you did it, since some of the hardest things have the greatest reward.
Our second speaker today is Butler. Hadaway will be introduced by her mom, Carrie Butler.
Thank you. I thought I was coming here to participate on a school forum on bringing burgers back and getting that chicken sandwich, but I think I can manage. Carrie Osborne Butler, class of 1990, and great to see some friends from class of 90 here. I am here today to introduce the one, the only Hadaway Butler. And I say one and only because I think she is in fact the only Hadaway Butler here today, and probably the only one you will ever know. I knew she was a one and only kind of person, so much so that I told her when she started to ask about where her name came from, that I would pay her $1,000 if she ever met anyone that was named Hadaway. Not Hattie, short for Harriet, or Hathaway, but a true Hadaway. So far I'm still good. I haven't lost that $1,000 yet, but I just knew that was the right name for her, and I hope that her unique name will bring her luck, not just in this speech, but all throughout her next steps in her life. So without further ado, the one, the only, Hadaway Butler.
I think if you asked anyone at Collegiate who Hadaway Butler is, they would say, isn't she the girl with the weird obsession with ducks and wiener dogs? I'd like to think that people think of me as the most beautiful, kind, smart, athletic, most hilarious girl they've ever met. But what I've heard most of my life is that I'm creative. So let's go with that. As someone who's been told her whole life that she's creative, I decided to think back on some of the times I was creative, or at least tried to be. When I was little, Elise, Sally, Charlotte, and I would constantly play games together. We made up skits, played house, played with Barbies, and did art. But one of our go-tos was to play college. As kindergarten and second graders, we knew nothing about college, so we made it up with our imaginations. The first step in our college process was making our schedules. The four of us would write down a list of 6 classes we were taking for each of the 5 days of the week. When we were finished, we would see what classes we had together. It was our favorite pastime, and sometimes we would just make schedules and not even play. There were times when we all had classes together or none of us did. And when we all had different classes, we made sure we were still attending. This could sound concerning to our parents because we would all split up and go to different rooms around the house. So picture this: Elise in my parents' room, alone, taking geography; Sally in Charlotte's room, alone, taking math; Charlotte alone in our playroom in art; and me also alone, learning all about biology. Biology 101 was in our bathroom, and the science teacher was notorious for being loud and mean. So I wasn't just in there silently reading. I would be alone in the bathroom screaming to myself about who knows what, because what on earth does a 7-year-old know about biology? As kids, we saw this as totally normal and the best source of entertainment, but looking back, it was weird. I used to think I was an amazing writer. I thought I would publish books and be the next J.K. Rowling. But writing is where my creativity hits the fan. Miss Davis was my third grade teacher, who loved to give us weekly writing and vocab quizzes. She would give us a word, and we would have to use that in a sentence. As our little minds were growing, my creative writing skills were not. As a 9-year-old, practicing writing sentences did not seem as though it would help me become the next J.K. Rowling. For one quiz, Miss Davis told us, the first word you need to use in a sentence is tall, and please actually try. Taking her words into consideration, I tried to think of the most creative, intelligent sentence in third grade history. As I'm sure you all remember, at this time, the song We Are Young by the band Fun was at the top of the charts. I remembered the line, my friends are in the bathroom getting higher than the Empire State. Now, I didn't really know what they meant by that. I just assumed the band's friends were really tall. But regardless, I thought that was the most creative sentence I'd ever heard. I wrote a sentence inspired by that line. I went with, my friends are in the bathroom taller than the building empire. Pretty creative, right? I was so proud of my work and thought I'd definitely ace that quiz. The next day, Miss Davis looked around the class with a disappointed face. She told us that our sentences were not up to her satisfaction. Instead of leaving it at that, she decided to read some examples of the sentences she graded. Starting with the best examples, the first, she said, was a sentence from Finley Lowe, who used the word tall perfectly. While I was disappointed I wasn't the best, I was still confident my sentence would be next. But Miss Davis read example after example, and I started to suspect my genius was not being appreciated. Finally, she said, here are some of the not-so-good ones. I was not prepared for the humiliation coming my way. Miss Davis said, my friends in the bathroom are taller than the building empire. Then, to top it off, she says, now class, can we see why the sentence is bad and doesn't make any sense? Everyone agreed and laughed, and Finley even said, who wrote that? I decided to move on to my next passion, architecture. My grandpa was an architect, so architecture kind of runs in my blood. If I clearly wasn't going to be an author, I thought that being an architect could be my career of choice. But as an 8-year-old, there weren't many job opportunities out there for me. Luckily, there was Minecraft. If anyone knows me, and maybe even if you don't know me, you know I love Minecraft. When third grade hit and I got my mom's old iPad, the first app I downloaded was Minecraft. I had so many worlds, all with different themes and buildings. I constructed schools, grocery stores, cabins, roller coasters, and even a 17-story house in the shape of an H. It had a waterfall and a duck pond. I loved Minecraft then, and I still do. At the beginning of quarantine, Sally Goldstein and I would FaceTime for hours and play Minecraft together as we built our own city. This city eventually sparked our idea to start a club at Collegiate. But not any boring old club like Math Club or French Club. Minecraft Club, which has become the most popular and beloved club in collegiate history with the two most loyal members I've ever met, Alejandro and Tori. While Minecraft clearly isn't the real world, it did give me some ideas of where my interests and passions could take me in the real world. That's why I'm interested in majoring in interior design and architecture in college. The fact that there's a job where I could actually create my 17-story house shaped like an H is very exciting. To be creative, you must create. It doesn't mean you have to come up with something that's never been done or seen before. It just means creating something that wouldn't have existed if you hadn't created it. I made up games with my friends where we became new people. I created stories based on songs I loved, and I built imaginary worlds that I would actually love to live in. Being creative reflects who we are, and by being creative, we not only express who we are, but we find out who we are. And finding who we are is what life is all about. Enjoy Minecraft Club!
Our third speaker today is Luke Bowman. Luke will be introduced by his second cousin, Hayden Beaver.
It's always a good day to see Mr. Carr out here. Okay. Hello, everyone. As some of you may know, I'm Hayden Beaver, and I'm cousins with Bowman, second cousins to be exact. And whenever Bowman and I explain how we're cousins to new people, it always ends up in a confusing way. I'll say my dad and his mom are first cousins, and he'll continue to say our grandparents are siblings. But regardless of how distant our lineage may seem, distant is the last word I'd use to describe our friendship. Bowman is a second brother to me at this point, not a cousin. I know this guy like the back of my hand. And one of the most important in the recent years about Bowman, as we've grown up almost side by side, is that this guy is ridiculously talented at every single video game that he plays. Whether we're talking Call of Duty, Black Ops 2 Zombies, Ghosts, it doesn't really matter. His personal favorite game, Fortnite, Bowman continues to prove the haters on the other side of the TV wrong. Day in and day out, he works. With Doritos in one hand, a game face on, there's no stopping this kid. Quite honestly, I'm scared of him. In all seriousness though, good luck on the speech, man. Let's run some duos after school. You got this. Everyone, Luke Bowman.
I'm gonna find my speech. I'm not saying it. Okay. One morning, I opened my eyes, half asleep, and gazed at the ceiling of my room. Ordinarily, I would just roll over and fall back asleep, but a strange sensation came over me as I pulled the blanket up over my shoulder. Something didn't feel right. I couldn't feel the soft material between my fingers. I shifted my feet under the covers back and forth vigorously. I felt nothing. Panicked, I jumped out of bed and threw the blanket on the ground. Am I awake? Is this a nightmare? I was numb. I couldn't feel a thing. I bounded up the stairs from my basement bedroom, growing more and more alarmed with each step. I could run, however, I could not feel the carpet beneath my feet. Tears, I sprinted into my parents' bedroom. Mom, I can't feel anything. I'm numb. I'm completely numb. This was simply the most terrifying moment of my life and also marked a 2-year journey searching for a diagnosis and treatment. The random bouts of body-wide loss of sensation continued more frequently and for longer stretches of time. The symptoms got progressively worse. Initially, I would wake up in the middle of the night, numb, go back to sleep, and would feel completely normal in the morning. This went on for a couple of weeks. However, one episode lasted 5 days while I had no answers or diagnosis. I had no idea what was wrong with me. This led to a significant amount of fear and an awakening to the uncertainty of my future. After months of testing, scans, and blood work, we discovered that I was suffering from low vitamin B12 and high homocysteine levels. While there was still no specific diagnosis, my neurologist explained the numbness was triggered by high levels of anxiety. I know anxiety affects literally everyone in this room, and it shaped me into the person I am today. Like most of us, my childhood was pretty stress-free. I attended an extremely small Montessori school in Louisville. Virginia Chance School was not the traditional elementary school. We received no grades, no quizzes, and no stressful extensive assignments. For my homework every night, I had 1 page of math practice problems that would take 15 minutes tops. This unique school environment was like living in a bubble. My class was composed of only 5 boys and 6 girls. While I was in the 4th grade, the 5th grade had just 2 boys. I have no recollection of being stressed in any way attending Chance. While this school looks like it would make me a socially awkward kid, I was extremely happy and outgoing to come to collegiate for 6th grade. This was the biggest change in my life. Transitioning from a school with no grades and a 3-to-1 student-teacher ratio to a traditional school. This was the first time I've experienced severe anxiety. The pressure put on my shoulders to have good grades, turn in all my assignments, and do well on tests and quizzes was completely new to me. However, I accepted being stressed, and the anxiety became a norm in my middle school career. High school is not much different. I was anxious, but not severely anxious. I thought I had a normal amount of anxiety like everyone else. By most standards, I was a typical teenager living a busy and productive life. What followed over the course of my junior and senior year was a path of personal growth that changed me in how I approach life today. Since discovering the cause of my odd physical reaction to anxiety, I have learned to manage the strange neurological phenomenon with the help of medication and techniques such as meditation, deep breathing, and calming music. With these tools, I was able to reduce the stress and anxiety almost immediately. Today, I practice these mindfulness techniques and use them in every area of my life. I'm incredibly grateful to my family and health professionals who have worked with me to regulate the emotional fear it provoked. My written and verbal communication skills improved tremendously over the course of last year. Juggling missed assignments from the days I was forced to stay home from school actually helped me to be better organized and complete all my work in a timely manner. No longer having the luxury to stop and see teachers with questions, I spent a good amount of time writing emails, texts, and making phone calls. Now, written and verbal communication skills have become one of my best attributes. Through the course of this experience, my faith in God has grown and strengthened. I could not understand why this was happening to me. When things felt hopeless, God helped me find the courage to keep searching for answers and the perseverance to remain hopeful. Today, I proudly face adversity with a renewed sense of strength and faith that I believe has carried me through the most difficult moments. I feel confident through any problem or situation, no matter how big or small. Today, I am proud to say that I have overcome this hardship and it no longer hinders my ability to live my best life. It has forced me to be more aware and intentional about my overall health. Furthermore, I have learned through patience that answers are not always easy to achieve. Through hard work, the support of my teachers and family, as well as a loving God, I am a healthy, balanced, and grounded individual. I have the tools to overcome any obstacle I encounter now and in my future. Thank you.
Okay, you guys know what's coming. Let's give them another round of applause. Good job, guys. Well done. Okay, we're going to continue the clapping celebration tomorrow afternoon. We're going to have another clap out, friends. We are going Friday afternoon at 2:55. We're going to have a clap out for both the track teams and the mock trial team, who are both going to state competitions this weekend. So we will give you more information about that tomorrow afternoon. Until then, have a great day.